He currently works as a mobilizer with OMF International, a missions organization that works in East Asia. And he has used his experiences as a personal trainer and a professional bodybuilder to create innovative ministries in Southern California and in Shanghai, China. He lives in San Diego and is married to me. Here's
Then why do you need to read that?
Just don't want to mess up, you know?
Yeah, I think it's always awkward using your spouse. Okay. Okay, again, my name is David Pat. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. That's going to come up a little bit later. Social media missionaries. At the heart of what we do is we represent ourselves and we represent God and we represent the ministries we are involved with. So a little bit about myself. I am Shanghainese American. My family is originally from Shanghai. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Growing up, I always watched G.I. Joe, all right, and I always wanted to be in the military. And so I joined the military as a scholarship recipient for the Marine Corps. And I was planning to get commissioned as an officer. God ended up changing my plans in life, and so I actually did not end up commissioning in the Marine Corps. I went through pretty much all the training for it, and then right before commissioning, I resigned my scholarship to join OMF International and to go to Bethel Seminary, which I'm a graduate of a few years ago. My background also is, while I was also in the Marines, I also started doing bodybuilding. I did a lot of sports and stuff when I was in high school, but because the commitment with the Marines, I couldn't do like a college Division I sport. And so then I decided to do bodybuilding because I always looked better than I played. And so I found a sport that looks only. And so that's why I started doing bodybuilding. So keep my bio kind of in mind. So as I take you through some of the things that I do in social media, you guys have an idea of where I'm coming from. Okay, so a lot of what I represent on social media is myself as a bodybuilder, as a personal trainer, as a missionary. I'll do a lot of stuff about the U.S., about the military, because that's kind of my background. And I do a lot of teaching, because that's part of who I am as a seminary graduate. Social media missionaries. Do you guys who recognizes 90% of these brands up here? 90%. 90%. That's a good amount. That's a good amount. Okay. Does anyone not know like any of these? All right, less. If you know less than 3, raise your hand. Okay, that's how powerful social media is now. I wanted to know all these companies are less than 10 years old, right? Yeah. All these companies are new companies. I think all these companies have a valuation over $1 billion. All these companies are less than 10 years old and have a valuation over $1 billion. The future is going to be social. It might not look like what it looks like today, but the future is going to be social. Our world is moving more and more towards social. So let's talk about it a little bit. Why do I think this is important? Billy Graham tells me it's important. All right, I went to a training about 2 years ago, and I met some guys from the Billy Graham Crusade. And the Billy Graham Crusade guys, they actually worked in their online evangelism department. I'm like, Billy Graham has an online evangelism department? Like, yes. People come to the website. All right, the website is peacewithgod.net. Come to the website, they hear the gospel, they enter a chat room, and they can call in to the Billy Graham Crusade, and they can hear the gospel and share with the counselor. Billy Graham Online Ministry shares gospel with nearly 10 million in 2013 alone. Talking with the guys from Billy Graham Crusade, they now have had more people come to faith online than all the crusades combined. All right, Billy Graham has had a long career. He's had a long career. And his crusades filled up like 6,000 at a time, right? They just started his online ministry. They already have more people come to faith online than all the crusades combined. It was that conversation with the Billy Graham guys made me think like, you know what, we as Christians need to understand the power of social media, the power of the internet, and the power of interacting with people across the internet now. Think of it this way, in the next 5 to 10 years, is the internet and social media and mobile technology is going to be more important or less important for ministry? More. Right? I mean, it's obvious. It's going to be more important. So we need to be on the forefront of this. And the thing is, as Christians, we've had a history of being at the forefront of technology. When the printing press first came out, Christians were the first to utilize it. right? Christians were the first like printing press. Sweet, get Bibles out. When Oxford University, right, the oldest university in the world, at the heart of it was what? Christians. Christians wanted to educate people. When radio came out, when TV came out, Christians were at the forefront of those. Christians have always been the forefront of media. We shouldn't be scared of social media. All right, so let's break this down a little bit. Here's my biblical basis. 1 Corinthians 9:19-20. And this is Paul talking. He says, though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. And so to the Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. Here's the principle. When I go to China as a missionary, what do? I speak in Mandarin, I speak in Chinese. If I go to Japan, I speak Japanese. I don't get upset at them if they don't speak English. Why would I? That makes no sense. All right? If I'm going into their culture, I speak their language. Okay? I take my shoes off in their house because that's their culture. If this generation wants to communicate with social media, it's ignorant and it's kind of rude to make them communicate the way we want to communicate. Okay? This is kind of a young room. Let me try this. How many of you actually get upset when someone calls you on the phone? Raise your hand. Who actually gets upset when people call you? Okay, there's like a good amount of people. Okay, a couple hands go up. Okay? You know what's funny? If I asked you that like 7 years ago, no hands would go up. But just in a couple of years, I tell you, in another 5 years, more of your hands will go up. I get actually, my phone rings, I get actually upset. I'm like, oh my gosh, how dare you call me? Right? Like, I'm like doing something right now, how dare you make me stop what I'm doing and interact with you? That's how much our generation has changed. The principle as missionaries is we always communicate with people the way they want to be communicated with. So I'll just tell you personally, if you don't understand why I get upset and why some people get upset, it's because I have to stop what I'm doing, pick up the phone, and you're going to be like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. Why'd you call me? Oh, I'm just bored. I was like, dude, really? You could have texted me, you could have Facebooked me, like, if this is all the ways you contact me, like, I'm really upset. I had to stop, I was washing dishes, I was like, do something else, right? You understand that, okay? Because for you, your communication was like, I'm bored, I'll pick up the phone. My communication is not that. My communication is if you're just bored, hit me up on text message or something like that and check if I'm free to hang out with you. It's this idea of crossing a culture, this idea of speaking the way someone wants to be spoken to. All right, that's the biblical basis of this. Here's what we're trying to do. At the heart of what we're trying to do as Christians is to engage those who have never heard of Jesus. To engage people with the gospel. We want to share the gospel. We want to share, in Matthew 28, Jesus says, teaching them everything I've commanded you. All right? But we don't just want to evangelize. Part of evangelism also is what? Encouraging believers, discipling people, moving them along that line of obeying and following Jesus Christ. Social media also, we want to promote Bible studies, we want to promote events and missions. Some of you guys are really young. You guys know that back in the day, when we had a Christian event coming up, we would literally take a flyer, go to the printer, and print out like 1 million copies of that flyer, and physically hand them out. Okay? And you know what we'd also do? We have a telephone tree. You guys know what that is, okay? We'd have a telephone tree, all right? And you're like, okay, you're in charge of calling these three people, you're in charge of calling these three, and you call these three. All right? And then you would do that. And that's how you get noticed out by events. How crazy is that? Okay? Imagine nowadays trying to promote a 60,000 person stadium event with just physical flyers. All right? You're like, that's ridiculous. Like, and who would do that? That's what we used to do. We live in 2015. We have to act and do ministry as if we're in 2015. Okay? The world's moving a lot faster and communicates differently. And here's the thing. We have a chance to connect with believers all around the world right now, in real time. Back in the day, I worked for OMF International. You know, Hudson Taylor, when he wanted to get work back to London, it took months for that letter to go back, and the world would change while the letter was being communicated across. Everything's real time. And because everything is real time, people expect different things. All right, people expect different things. So let's move forward. It's about relationships. Our relationships are changed, and our relationships are bigger. There we go. You're connected to the world, and you have influence through your connections. let's break that word apart. Social media. The first part of that is social. If you were to graph out your social network, it's gigantic. Okay, it's gigantic. For those of you in ministry and those who are like Asian Americans, you guys know you're like 2 degrees separation from like everyone else in the world. All right, I go to Shanghai and I'm like, hey, do you know like such and such from California? Like, oh yeah, I know, it's like this one college with this guy. We're all connected. At the heart of what social media is, okay, you got to remember is that it's with people you know and it's relationships you already have strong bonds with. The reason why social media is so powerful is you have a direct connection to every single person you meet. A direct connection. Okay. What's great about like Facebook and LinkedIn, you can actually see exactly how you connect with people. Give you an example of why that's so important. In OMF, we realized in Thailand, if you have a family member who's a Christian, you're like 1,000,000,000% more likely to accept Christ. Don't quote me, that's not 1,000,000,000%, but it's like a really high percent. Okay, and if you think it through, you know why that's true. If you're a Thai person, and you hear about Jesus Christ and the gospel and Christianity, you're like, oh, that's the white man's religion, or we're Thai, we're Buddhist, and da. But then all of a sudden, if you think like, oh wait, but my grandma's Christian, or my uncle's Christian, or my sister's Christian, it becomes familiar to you, right? And so Christianity doesn't seem so foreign, and that's an obvious thing. So you're more likely to be receptive to that gospel. You know what the power of social media is? The power of social media is that we're all connected, and because there's a personal connection, what I have to say, what I have to broadcast to you, is more powerful. If you went out and you see a new restaurant, okay, it's like called like, you know, Shanghai Cafe, and then you look at it and you're like, I wonder if it's good. And if on their window they have this giant poster that says, "We are really good," all right? Do you go, oh well, they say they're really good, so I guess they must be really good? All right, do you trust that? You probably don't. Okay, but me, if I'm Shanghainese, I come to you like, hey dude, this place is real good. You probably trust that. Think about why. It's because you have a relationship with the person who's Shanghainese. They're like, oh, they say so, then obviously it's more meaningful. It's the credibility factor. Mm-hmm. That's the power of social media nowadays. All right, more than ever, we can test truth in the world. I want you to catch that. More than ever in this generation, this time, we can test truth. Back in the day, if I was reading a textbook, right, and someone tells me a certain fact about the world, why should I believe them? I believe them because you wrote a book. You wrote a book, your name's on this, it costs money to print out a book, so therefore I trust you. Nowadays, you know that's not true. You know just because they wrote a book, you're like, dude, why should I believe you? Right? All that says is you have enough money to write a book. That's all that says. But through your own personal connections with people you respect, if they say something is true, then you have more reference points and say, okay, now I can test that's true. We live in that kind of generation. We test truth now through what? Through our social connections. We test truth through our families, our friends, our pastors, missionaries, people who serve in the church. And that's the same way non-Christians test truth also. People don't trust truth just because it's in a book or it's on TV, blah, blah, blah. But if people they respect and are around in their social networks, right, affirm that truth, usually you believe in that truth too. So social networks, first part, it's about relationships, it's about your own personal networks. Jab, 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 right hook. And this is the heart of social media. Who's ever heard this term, jab, 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 right hook? One person, okay, he's a fighter, 2 people.
Oh.
Jab, 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 right hook is the idea. In boxing, I learned a little bit of this in the Marines and from my background in wrestling and stuff. The point of a jab is not knock someone out. You're not going to knock someone out by doing this, right? The point of a jab is to set them up. So you jab, and what the person does in response is they kind of guard this way, kind of change their defense a little bit, and at the end, you right hook when the defense is down. It's the whole idea of a setup, okay? Another way to look at this is also called give, get. That's another way, you might see that term sometimes. Give, get. It's the idea that you don't go straight for the kill right away, okay? And I use another analogy for this, dating, all right? You don't go straight up to a girl, all right, and I'm married now, I can tell you this. You don't go straight up to a girl, and you don't go like, hey, I think you're pretty, we should go out with me, right? You talk to a person, you let them trust you, right? You let them know who you are, and then you ask them like, hey, we'd like to go out with me. Jam Jab Right Hook. Social media. You can't right away broadcast the gospel on social media. Because at the end of the day, it's social. It's about who you are personally, right? So be yourself. Because people want to know the real you. I wanna use this time to kind of go around the room a little bit. Can you share with me, so I know going forward, what your name and your stage of life? So are you a student? Are you working? So what school you go to, or where you working at? Sorry here.
Justin, I'm a sophomore at Troy High School.
I'm Sean Park and Louis Troy High School.
Karina Lee, sophomore Oxford.
Josh Chang, I go to Cal State College.
Justin Beach, I'm working.
Working.
I'm Ayana Rubalcaba, and I'm a junior at Azusa Pacific University. I'm Vivian, from local Seaman Seminary.
Peter Yang, well, I'm doing the entrepreneur foundation in Shanghai, in Hong Kong.
Oh, cool.
Susan Wade, small business owner, entrepreneur.
I'm Deborah Lin. I'm a student at Fuller Theological Seminary, and I'm a missionary in Taiwan.
Okay. Carmen, what do you
And what?
What do you do?
I work and am a graduate student at Bethel Seminary, San Diego.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie Hong. I'm the nutrition specialist at LACO, LA County Office of Education.
My name is Michael, and I'm visitor in LA.
Great.
I'm original from UK.
Great.
I'm Jessica Hong. I'm currently looking for a job.
Eric Cheng, I teach CrossFit.
My name is Tom Pham. I do some work in relief work in the pharmacy.
I'm Patricia Halsey, ministry with Harvest Time International Network.
Debbie Merritt, with OMF International. We do advocacy work in Women Lake Elsinore.
My name is Jonathan Poulos. I run a technology ministry. I'm a mobile and web app developer.
Okay.
Marcel Meline out of Torrance, and Modern Day Princess headquarters, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, called to broadcast, but reach the people where they're at with love.
Great. Okay, so this room is a really diverse room actually. A lot of working, a lot of students, a lot of people in full-time ministry. So good. No matter where you are, okay, and this is actually really important now. Give value to the people who follow you. Give value to the people who follow you. So knowing your audience, the people who follow you, why do they follow you? This is the social connections, okay? Why do you have that social connection to that person? Why is a person involved in the ministry you're doing? How do you know that person from work? What kind of work do you do? How are you guys friends in school? Give value to people who follow you. So for example, you can imagine my social network, who are going to be my friends on Facebook? Guys who I serve with the Marines, guys who are into working out, and guys who are in ministry, okay? So if I were to give value to them, right? If I post about like, I don't know, furniture and interior decorating, right? People are like, what is this? Right? If I post about my political views on finance, they're like, what is this? This is completely random, okay? Now, if I post on working out, a bunch of people are like, wow, thank you for posting that. You know why? Because they're in the Marines, they work out. If I post like a really interesting theological article about ministry or something like that, then I thank you, right? Because that's where we know each other through seminary or something like that. Give value to the people who follow you. Don't be someone you're not. And that's one of the biggest issues with social media. All right, and that's where a lot of problems come up actually, is that people don't understand their audience. You're broadcasting, but you're still broadcasting to people you know, okay? You're not broadcasting to all of America, guys in Florida and New York. You're broadcasting to your personal network. Give value to the people who follow you. And give them the gospel in a way that would also be meaningful to you. Let's read two there. To you. If you post, okay, so for the young people in this room, if you post a cartoon from the 80s, right, about like, this is Jesus, and Jesus it was like a white Jesus, right, and he's like, like, dude, you wouldn't watch that, so why would your followers watch that? Right? That makes sense, right? If most of your friends are in the 40s, 50s, and you post like a really, really loud, obnoxious like Christian rap video, right? People are gonna be offended. People are like, why did you post this? Like, well, my son likes it, right? Like, well, if your son likes it, like, why would you think I would like it? Like, I'm not your son's age, okay? So, gospel presentation is meaningful to you, because at the heart of it, social, your social connections. But let's get to that media portion. You are now the media. You have the same reach as cable networks. If Jon Stewart invited you to be on Comedy Central, okay, some of you guys know the show, all right. If Jon Stewart invited you to his show and said, hey, I heard you're a Christian, tell me about what that means to you. You'd be like, dude, this is a huge opportunity. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna go on a show with millions of viewers and share the gospel. All right, you'd be ecstatic, okay? But with social media, you have the same reach as Jon Stewart. And I would argue that you have a deeper reach, because if you go on Comedy Central, you talk to strangers. You have no credibility among strangers, because they don't know who you are. Social media, you broadcast among those who are familiar with you. Now you have credibility. That's the media portion of social media, right? You now have a venue of video, of photography, of music, of writing, of all these different mediums now, and you can broadcast it. I'm gonna show you a little bit in a second how wide that reach actually is, but you are now the media. So, and understand that it is a broadcast medium. Tell stories, okay? The reason why people hate like some social media stuff, because it's like so stupid, right? Sometimes it's like, I eat a sandwich. Right? You're like, what, really? Or like the really ambiguous post, like, oh my gosh. And I was like, what? That's a post. You're just like, ugh. And you know what I'm talking about, right? You hate that. Think about why you hate that. You hate that because there's no context. Okay, you have no idea what we're talking about. What was the point of that post? Right? Tell stories. Here's a way to figure out how long should a post be. Most posts should be short form. Short form meaning, you know why Twitter is actually succeeding? 140 characters. The most communication from most of us, what we have to say, can be said in 140 characters. 1 to 2, 3 sentences. Most things that we say to people around social media should be really short form. Occasionally, medium form. Occasionally, 2 to 3 paragraphs. And very seldom, long form. All right, very seldom, like actually write out an essay, write out a long blog post. And if you think about your life, it's like that. Okay, who watches 5 movies a day? Any of you? Five movies a day? And you guys have friends and family. Who talks to a family member for 3 hours a day? Anybody? 3-hour conversations with family members every day, right? That's how we live our life. All right, we live our life in short form. Throughout our day, there's some people who are meaningful to us, and so may have a long conversation, right? 10, 15 minutes. And very seldomly, you know, even people you love, right? All right, I really sit down with Carmen like, let's have a 3-hour conversation about life right now. Sometimes we will. Sometimes when there's important things in life, we'll sit down and talk for 3 hours about something. But that's seldom. Social media is the same way. It's a broadcast medium. Tell stories. Most of it's going to be short. Sometimes it's going to be medium, and very seldom it's going to be long. And I'll tell you this. Be careful what you say. The internet remembers. All right, the internet remembers. And this is where a lot of people are in trouble. I will put this warning out there. If you are dumb about social media, all right, and this is just in general life now, everyone has a camera in their pocket. Everyone has a camera in their pocket, and you know what the Bible says? Like, what is done in the dark will be seen in the light eventually, right? As we move to the future, that's more and more true. Before, it's like only God knows. Now everyone knows. Okay? And you know, in some ways, that's actually a lot better. So, for example, after Ferguson happened, right, when the cops started wearing cameras, guess what happened? Cops behaved better. Right? And it's kind of funny how people act when people know that other people are watching you. You know? But you also remember that whenever you're on social media, that you are being watched and everything's being recorded. Even when you delete stuff, someone saw it at one point. It was like the 2 seconds it was up, it was remembered. I'll give you an example of why this is so important. I heard this story, I think Christianity Today or something like that, about this pastor who got on Twitter, right? And he discovered, it was like this brand new thing, he was like so amazed by it. And he was the guy who was like, oh my gosh, this sandwich. Picture of sandwich. right? Or like in the morning he posts like, oh, geez, guys, like, can you believe like how much rains there is, right? Okay, so he laughed, right? Because the reason why that's a big thing, if you're like 19, 20, it's not a big deal. When you're a 45-year-old, 50-year-old senior pastor, that's a big deal. Okay? The reason why it's a big deal is because your image just changed in people's minds. Because, yeah, people saw you as respect. Like, imagine if your dad or grandpa did that, right? You're like, because when his church starts seeing his posts, right, and some of the elders had to talk to him afterwards, like, dude, this is actually really bad for the church, because, you know, we're trying to present you as a respectable leader of this church, and you're posting about sandwiches and like complaining about weather and like, oh my gosh, like I just threw the chair across the room because my team lost and like da da da, right? And the elders had to sit down with him and like correct him, and like I think they eventually took it away from him. But like, hey, we need to like honestly, this is like church discipline stuff now. Okay, we gotta cut you off because some of the stuff now is questionable. Okay. Any questions on this? What's the question?
I have a comment actually.
Go ahead.
I think it's pretty funny because actually I remember someone at my church was actually very similar. He was kind of like pretty, like, I guess you could say, not very, like his age wasn't like 19 or 20, like a lot older. And every time he posted something on Facebook on our like church page and stuff, like he would caps everything. And so we were just like, it just sounded like he was just yelling half the time. And then I was like, oh my goodness. And then like, I think I had to talk to him like, hey, you have to be careful what you're writing because it's exactly what you said. Like it shows an image after, and then like it's something that you don't like. He's known as the guy now who just caps everything. And one of my friends saw one of his posts one day, like, hey, you guys, this guy seems pretty serious. So he sounds like he's mad or something like that. I'm like, oh, it's not good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just a really quick comment, and also what you retweet, because I just retweeted something about Barack Obama and ISIS and why he calls them ISIL. And before I knew it, it was favorited by the Hollywood Action Network, who had originally tweeted it. And then it was favorited by Barack Obama. So then I checked, and it wasn't really Barack Obama, but it was somebody who makes fun of Barack Obama. And I'm like, I don't need to be in that arena.
Yeah, yeah.
So I took it.
Any more comments on share stories? This is like a funny part.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more. I remember I posted something on social media about like, just basically like thanking God for something. And you know, like on Instagram where you can post it like, or like you can put a hashtag with Jesus is awesome, something like that. And like, it's funny because a lot of atheists, like these atheist kind of posts, they actually, they like it and then they like comment on it and stuff like that. So it's like, even atheist people, like they have like their Instagram name as The Atheist or John the Atheist, something like that. And then they like it. Like, and it's funny how they see like their content of like, religious stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially those in ministry, and you know this, right? Those in ministry you're held to a higher standard. Those who teach, right? Not everyone should rush to be teachers, for you'll be judged according as teachers. Be careful what you say. I'll give you one example. This is not a person in the church. I was watching The Voice, or this singing television show, and one of the coaches, Blake Sheldon, had a girl he was mentoring on his team, and she's like 16 years old, right? And so he made a joke like, oh, that's what she said, right? I was like, I don't think you should be making dirty jokes when you're mentoring a 16-year-old, right? And so I tweeted at him, right, at Blake Shelton. I'm like, hey, if you're gonna mentor 16-year-olds and you're gonna be on network TV, can you not be dirty? Like, that's probably not appropriate. He tweeted back at me, right? And he's like, how about you shut up? Right? And then that night, my Twitter like blew up. Like all his followers are just like, dude, I'm 17. I don't think it's a dirty joke. I don't think it's so bad. Like, you're like, why are you like so stuck up? Da, da, da. And people just blasted me. Like I had one person like, hey, I think you're right. It's probably not appropriate, right? But everyone else just blasted me. Okay. Now in my mind, I like most country singers. I think most country singers are like good people and like help the community and stuff. How do I view Blake Shelton now?
Sure. Right?
I still like his music, but am I ever gonna go to his concert? Am I gonna tell you to go to his concert? And I'm telling you the story now, right? So what's your impression of Blake Shelton? Right? The internet remembers. All right, the internet remembers. You actually have a bigger reach than you think. You have a global audience. Me and my team, we developed an app, the Gospel of Mark. Okay, and it's basically it's like an app where it's like a storybook, and it's on iPhone and Android. And so we put it out there, and it's in English. We just got it done in Chinese, but we have it in English first, and we're thinking it's going to be downloaded pretty much in the U.S. But these were our stats that came out after about a month of downloads. 50% US, that's what we thought, but look what the other 47 is. 14% UK, 4% Singapore, 2% Brazil, 2% Germany, 2% Spain, Indonesia, India, Philippines, Belgium, and 14% other countries besides that. All right, and the breakdown, I saw some in Saudi Arabia, I saw some countries I can't pronounce. All right, I think like Equatorial Guinea had one, a couple, and I was like, where's that? And this app's in English. Okay, so put that out. That's why I was surprised, because the app's in English, and the breakdown's still like that. You truly have a global audience on social media. One of the first things I started noticing when I started writing about bodybuilding, and I was posting on English bodybuilding sites. guys from Milan were emailing me. A guy from Nigeria, all right, emailed me. He's like, "Hey, so I see you're working out, brother, and like I'm a Christian too. Like, check out my workout set." And it was him in like this dirt field with like a car axle. And he was like bench pressing. And I was like, "You're the man, dude. You're the man." All right, but even in English, global audience. I know a lot of networks you can't see how many people you're actually reaching, all right? And so I'm actually thankful now that they're actually giving you the analytics and the statistics on it, because this is what I found out. This is Google Plus, by the way. Google Plus is actually one of the most, smaller networks. Google Plus actually started listing out your views. Some of you guys can't see this in the back, okay? The first day that came out, it blew my mind. How many of you knew my name before coming to this workshop? Knew my name? Only like a handful of you, right? 5 of you? You know Google Plus? 1.2 million views.
Oh no.
I have 1.2. I am like a superstar. All right, you guys should be honored to be in this workshop. 1.2 million views, and I've only been on Google Plus like 2 years, 2-3 years. It just came out. Okay, and I've checked to see if this is accurate. Like I'll check like every week or so. I go about 10,000 views per week. At that. All right, some weeks I spike because of certain posts. All right, because Google, I think they did this because they're losing to Facebook. So they wanted to show like how many people actually use Google Plus. All right, it is crazy the reach we have. So when I talk about Jon Stewart and Comedy Central, like what happens if you're on TV, I'm telling you, this is your true reach on social media. All right, Facebook doesn't break it out yet, but if you were to actually see how many people you reach with Facebook, it would amaze you.
Do you have a business page on Facebook that shows you the video?
Okay, so business pages do, yeah. I also find out, here's a tip, if you upload a video directly to Facebook, not through Instagram, you can see the views too. Okay, if you upload directly to Facebook. Here's some practical tips now that you can use for social media. Who knows that Google Plus has a storytelling feature? None. One person knew. Here's something, and I showed this diagram. If you actually go to your Google Plus app, if you want to use this, and I encourage you guys to just try it out, there is a button called Auto Backup. This thing called Auto Backup. If you auto backup your photos, all right, it'll actually start telling stories for you. So here's some pictures of me in Shanghai. So what it actually started doing for me is that you have to turn this on. Turn on Auto Backup. It will know when you take a series of photos in a certain amount of days in a new place, because it has your locations on your phone, right? And then it will automatically group those photos together. So I just came back from Shanghai on a mission trip in January, and then I took a bunch of pictures there. And Google Plus is smart enough to put all those pictures together, and it makes like this like kind of slideshow thing with Google Plus. Okay? And at the heart of it, again, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to tell stories. So in the next section, I'm going to show you guys some tips for how to use some of these networks. So let's start with Twitter first. Twitter, this is John Piper's Twitter account, okay? Why use Twitter? Twitter is not popular with some people because they always say I have nothing to say, but a lot of you in ministry have something to say, so I encourage you to use it. One of the ways to use Twitter is to reach out to people who you might not know and to engage with them. So for example, those who are in ministry, those who are in work. If there's someone in your industry you want to get to know, right, but they're living like New York or something like that, you would never meet them through your personal connections, Twitter's a great way to meet them. Right. So I just give you the example of Blake Shelton. I'll never meet Blake Shelton, but he already got angry at me, so there you go, guys. There you go. Interesting, John Piper and Desiring God, I was organizing CMC back a couple years ago, and then I tweeted at Desiring God and John Piper, like, hey, can you promote CMC? And they retweeted it for me. So they promoted our mission conference among their followers, so I reached out to them. You'd be surprised, guys. You'd be really surprised, especially among Christians and among people who are strong on the internet. if you reach out to them on Twitter, they'll reach back to you. They really will. All right, and the way you do that is just the @ symbol and then their name. Okay, Twitter's usually smart enough. If you do their proper name, Twitter's usually smart enough now to fill in their Twitter handle. Twitter, basic functionality if you've never used it. All right, replying, it's an arrow. You can actually reply to them. So if you follow somebody, you want to talk back to them, I encourage you to do so. I encourage you not just to read things, but to interact with those you want to talk to. But if you don't want to say anything, you just want to affirm and say, hey, I like what you say, you can retweet, which is rebroadcast out what they say to your network, and then you can favorite it, and people can see your favorites. So you can favorite it and just say, thumbs up, you're doing a great job. But again, Twitter is a chance for you to reach out to people that you want to get to know, all right, that you feel like would be interested in your ministry, interested in your business. So Twitter's a great tool to meet strangers with. And some of you guys don't tweet because you guys don't think you have reach. Okay, again, I'm not famous, all right, but I'm so glad Twitter came out with this. Twitter actually started breaking out the analytics of where people actually look at your tweets. Now, I was wondering that, I don't get any interaction on Twitter, right? I don't get any retweets, so I was like, dude, does anyone actually look at this? It's like in space. Last 30 days, 8.6 thousand impressions. 8.6 thousand impressions over Twitter, all right? And I'm nobody, okay? I am nobody. And if you actually go to analytics.twitter.com, all right, it's a tip, analytics.twitter.com, they actually break down impressions, who's actually seen your tweet, engagements, people who actually retweet, favorite, or reply to you, and other ones like ads and stuff like that, all right? Don't quit social networks just because you feel like no one's looking at it. I'm glad that people are starting to release this analytics now, because now you actually get able to visualize better that you're not talking into space. All right, the internet remembers. Someone on the internet is looking at you. I remember I was on an OMF training thing with one of my coworkers, and Google Plus has a Hangout feature, which lets us have a video conference basically, and you can broadcast it to everyone. So I was just like, whatever, I'll broadcast it. And then I started the broadcast, and then someone called Anesh Azuzi, or something like that, jumped in on the broadcast. And I'm like, who is this guy? Right? Apparently he was a guy from India. He was one of my followers. And then apparently he just saw that I started a broadcast. He's like, cool, I'll jump in on this like training. Right? It was about missions. It was about like how we do prayer groups. Right? And he stayed there for like 40 minutes. Right? And I was just like, what is going on? So you'll be surprised on the internet who's engaging with you. Okay, Facebook tips. Actually, let me open this up to you guys first. Who has any Facebook tips? How do you guys use Facebook? Who's actually really excited to share? Anybody? Anybody have great stories about Facebook they want to share? Okay, go ahead.
I know for me, like, I put a lot of technology online, and so I put up an app, it's called Knock to Unlock, which lets you unlock your Mac with your phone.
Okay.
And like instantly somebody went to buy it and explained to me how great the tool was, and I was like, I was just throwing it up there because I thought it was cool, but it was neat to see that my friends are buying things that I put up there.
Wow,
so,
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So businesses, right? Put it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's really true what you said about your network. Like you kind of cater to the people that follow you. Like you said that if you post workout tips or whatever, then they'll find it useful. But it's like the same thing. Like right now with the Oscars and stuff, I'll post like about movies that I've watched and like if you should watch them or something like that. So it's just like that.
Engaging people.
Yeah, I put healthy recipe ideas or wellness tips, and I see people will comment and follow.
Okay, yeah. So that's your followers, like healthy recipes. Okay, great.
I put some things on there that sometimes especially when you have a mixed group of people, like family members who aren't Christians, old classmates from like public school, like when I was at school that aren't Christians. It's hard sometimes to know what to put because you don't want to offend, someone. And I know one person, I put something about like very pro-abortion or not
pro-life.
Pro-life, pro-life. And this person who like I was like shocked about. This is a missionary kid. She, she's grown out now, but she reacted really strongly, kind of like why are you having that opinion? You know, and I thought, whoa, and I almost wanted to unfriend her because I thought, I don't want that person to be commenting on my Facebook like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know how to, I've not had that happen much, but it's just, I don't know how to handle that kind of situation. It's difficult.
I didn't actually handle it well myself, but it turned out great. Just this week, I posted something on a princess party at the Dream Center, and somebody I didn't know, who was a friend with somebody else I knew, commented on my post, I think it's demeaning that women would be handed a piece of paper about a princess and this and that. And at the same time, I got another negative comment from my sister about shades of gray, something I'd posted on that, on my wall. And so, and I was just like, you know what, all this negativity. So I deleted this lady's comment that was a stranger. I was just like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm still basking in the glow of, you know, blah, blah, blah. So she reached out to me and she's like, why'd you delete my comment? Did I offend you? And I reached back to her. At that point, I had a chance to settle down. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't take the time to process, you know. I'm sorry I offended you. And before you knew it, now she's buying the products about the princess thing. And she's like, oh my gosh, if I'd only known. And we're going to go through a class. We're going to do a journal together.
Wow.
And we're friends.
You know, let me affirm that. Okay. With discernment. Okay. I will say this: leave negative stuff out. Other people say. As long as it's like, if you say something negative, you regret it, take it off. Okay. But if someone else posts something, let it sit. That's real life. Not everyone likes you, right? We all go read that. We're old enough to know that. Not everyone likes you, and that's okay. All right. For me, I want my online presence to reflect real life. And so if someone disagrees with me, like, I disagree with myself. I look back at some of the stuff I've done 3 years ago, like message, I'm like, that's not right. Like, you know, I'll correct myself going forward. You know, I leave that up because it lets me be like a real person. This is what I believe about Facebook too. So here's a rule that I use if you guys want to write this down. Okay? 1/3 hobbies and interests, 1/3 your personality, and then 1/3 ministry. 1/3 hobbies and interests, 1/3 your personality, and then 1/3 ministry. So let me start with the hobbies and interests. You guys, some young people, hate it when like your friend joins CrossFit or something like that, and all they post is CrossFit. Right? Right? I heard the triathlon, they're like, and this morning I woke up at 6 a.m. and I did 25 miles on a bike. I'm amazing. Tomorrow morning, today I did 35 miles. And the next day it's like, I'm tired today. I didn't do bike today. And that's all they post. You're like that. Think about why you think that's funny. It's like weird. It's like, you're a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have kids. Like, you have there's other things in your life going on than like triathlon or CrossFit. But a lot of people follow you for those reasons. All right, I'll tell you right now, if I never post on bodybuilding, a lot of people would just not engage with me. Right? It's like, dude, we're friends with you from the gym, from the bodybuilding show. All right? If you just post about your kids all the time, I don't really care that much. Okay? Also the reason, just so you know how Facebook works, the Facebook algorithm, by the way, it surfaces stuff, puts stuff to the top, based upon your engagement with each other. The more someone likes your stuff, and you like their stuff, Facebook sees a strong connection between you two. Okay? And then your stuff more likely to pop up on his newsfeed, and vice versa also. Also, if him and his network like your stuff a lot, then, oh, their connections too, you'll start to surface on their connections too. Okay? Go ahead.
That's a question. Sometimes I found that I can't comment on things. Why is that?
Some people disable comments. Some people disable. So it's
But
like,
other people commented. Why couldn't I?
Are they your friends or do you follow them? They could have
were
blocked you.
friends. So I didn't understand. Okay, are they blocking me because it was something maybe they thought I wouldn't want them to comment on or something?
yeah, I mean, if they're just personal people, they're not like celebrities, it might be a setting they have or something wrong with your account. Yeah, I never heard that before. Not from a personal account. So that's how you know the Facebook algorithm works, okay? If you post about a certain topic and people engage with you on certain topics, or certain people from certain groups, for example, like CrossFit, all right? If all the CrossFitters keep liking my things, among CrossFitters, my stuff keeps surfacing. All right? Same thing with ministry. If you keep posting great stuff about ministry, guys from other organizations who are, because if you think about ministry, right, we're all connected somehow. You might not know any one person from Billy Graham Crusade, but I bet you a friend of a friend knows some from Billy Graham Crusade. And so if you post stuff and people start liking your stuff, your reach goes wider and wider and wider. Okay, that's how the algorithm works. So hobbies and interests. 1/3 should be hobbies and interests. 1/3 personality, and this is a big thing for me. please post who you are, not just like some fake version of who you are. Okay? So who is David Pat? All right? I like cats. I like puppies. All right? I like academic things. All right? I went to seminary. All right? So I'm gonna post stuff on academics. I'm gonna post stuff that's interesting to me. I'll post stuff about the Marines. I'm gonna post stuff about life in San Diego. All right, kitties, like random things. That's my personality. Okay? Because if people follow me, I want to seem like a real person. Because I don't want it to seem like some corporate spam bot, right? David Pat brand posting out workout stuff now. Right? People hate that stuff. Okay? So 1/3 your personality, and then 1/3 ministry. Please, please, please use it as a source for ministry. All right? I post up articles, all right, about like encouraging young people to step up as leaders, how to lead a Bible study, how to reach the Thai people in your community. And sometimes we get no likes, but then at church someone comes up to me like, hey, thanks for posting that. That was really insightful. That's really meaningful, right? Like on a Sunday morning, if I preached a message and 1 or 2 people came up to me and said something encouraging like that to me, I'd be like, man, I did an awesome message. And all I did was just post an article. I didn't write the article, I just shared someone else's article. And people are encouraged by it. So why would I not post it then? I'm having the same effect as if I preached at the church to some people about a certain topic. Again, post up on ministry that's meaningful to you. All right, if it's boring to you, don't post it. So examples that I have up here. As a bodybuilder, this guy, he lost his leg in a car accident. It's actually a really sad story. He wanted to open a gym, and like the month after he opened the gym, his dream came true. He lost his wife and his unborn child in a car accident. And this guy's a Christian, and so he shares with the media about his story of struggling through losing his leg, but still competing as a bodybuilder, and how as a Christian he wants to inspire others. And so he runs a support group for amputees, right? And I wanted to share that because I think my group will really appreciate those who are Christians and those who are bodybuilders would appreciate that story. I talked about promoting events. I promote, hey guys, I'm having Bible study in my house Tuesday. Please come. All right. Pretty much every event I do now, I post on Facebook. Not because I think it will get them to come out, but it'll jog in their mind first, and then I'll text them afterwards. Like, hey, did you see that Facebook post? Right, you coming on Tuesday? I'll always follow up. Okay, I don't just broadcast. I follow up too. I post about the Bible, and then I post about missions. When I come back from missions, my support letters, stuff like that, I'll put that up on Facebook too. I started posting up workout videos on Facebook, and I started to see actually the breakdown on views. Okay, in a 24-hour period, because I posted before and where I didn't have the analytics, so I was like, no one's watching this stuff. Like it's just me working out. Who wants to watch this? In one 24-hour period, 1,900 views, 1,994 views in a 24-hour period. You know what this video is? It's just me sitting there lifting weights. 1,094 people stopped to watch this video. It's just crazy to me how powerful the internet is. All right, and so with that, right, with that reach, because now I know if you're watching my videos and you're liking my stuff now I know I'm surfacing on your newsfeed. Right, this is the strategy part. Okay, give, get, jab, jab, right hook. Now I know I'm surfacing on your newsfeed, and so that's when I hit you with my support letter and my missions updates. All right, that's when I talk about ministry around the world. Okay, because now I know I'm surfacing on your newsfeed. So that's Facebook.
I'm sorry, question.
Go ahead.
How do you check your views on Facebook?
Okay, write this down. Only if you upload a video directly to Facebook or the views. All right. If you use Instagram, it will not show up.
It has to be a video though.
It has to be a video. Pictures don't work.
I get views on Instagram videos. On
You get
Facebook.
views?
Yeah.
Okay. So they must be rolling it out then.
I think it depends. I think for business page, I think they give it to you.
Okay, business page. Okay.
Yeah.
The business.
I think personal, I don't think they give it to you.
You can also write this down too. So most tools, analytics, work better if you have a business page. All right. So business owners, you're gonna have more granular analytics on views and stuff like that. Yeah.
What about the 17 people reached, 111 people reached?
Okay.